The Old Man and the Sea is a short novel written by the American author Ernest Hemingway in 1951 in Cuba and published in 1952. It was the last major work of fiction by Hemingway that was published during his lifetime. One of his most famous works, it tells the story of Santiago, an aging Cuban fisherman who struggles with a giant marlin far out in the Gulf Stream off the coast of Cuba. Basically, the story is of an epic struggle between an old, seasoned fisherman and the greatest catch of his life. For 84 days, Santiago, an aged Cuban fisherman, has set out to sea and returned empty handed all the time. So conspicuously unlucky is he that the parents of his young, devoted apprentice and friend, Manolin, have forced the boy to leave the old man in order to fish in a more prosperous boat. Nevertheless, the boy continues to care for the old man upon his return each time. He helps the old man manage all his gear to his ramshackle hut, secures food for him, and discusses the latest developments in American baseball, especially the trials of the old man's hero, Joe DiMaggio. Santiago is confident that his unproductive streak will soon come to an end, and he resolves to sail out further than usual the following day. On the 85th day of his unlucky streak, Santiago does as promised, sailing his skiff far beyond the island's shallow coastal waters and venturing into the Gulf Stream. They prepare the line and drops them at noon. A big fish, which he knows is a marlin, takes the bait that Santiago has placed 100 fathoms deep in the water. The old man expertly hooks the fish, but he actually couldn't pull it. Instead, the fish begins to pull the boat. Unable to tie the line fast with the boat, the fish, out of fear, would snap a taut line, and the old man bears the strain of the line which was tied with his shoulder, back and hands, ready to give slack should the marlin make a run. The fish pulls the boat all through the day, through the night, through another day, through another night, and it continued swimming all the time. It swims steadily northwest until at last it tires and swims east with the current. The entire time Santiago endures constant pain from the fishing line. And what happens, although Santiago was not able to get that fish on the boat, he was more exhausted and was thinking of giving up at one point. But somehow the fish finally was defeated, and Santiago is exhausted and wounded. But the hardest part of the experience was yet to come actually. He still has to bring the massive fish back to the shore. Santiago starts sailing home, but that bleeding fish actually invites all the sharks in the deep ocean. And Santiago battles the sharks unsuccessfully. There are too many of them. They ate the fish they ate the fish to its bone, and what was left with Santiago was the only skeleton. He leaves the skeleton by the boat and carries it back to his home. Once home, he collapses in bed and falls asleep. Meanwhile, the villagers see the skeleton and are impressed by its length. It was more than 18 feet. Manolin, relieved that Santiago is safe again, makes plans with him to go fishing together again. Santiago falls back asleep and dreams the same dream that prompted him to go fishing in the first place. The